My next guest will be back in action on June the 22nd at Bellator Champions Series Dublin when he takes on Norbert Novenyi Jr. And of course, it is Hercules himself, Dalton Rosta, on the program. Dalton, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, man. Looking sharp as always. Can't wait to see you back in action, man. And will this be your first time to Dublin? I have to imagine maybe so. And if that is the case, are you going to spend a little extra time there, maybe post fight sightseeing?
Yes, this will be my first time, but right now I'm just focused on the fight, so I don't have anything planned for after. I have my flight booked back for the following day, but plans may change after the fight. But right now, I don't want to be thinking about that. I just want to focus on my opponent.
Fair enough. When do you fly out? When do you actually get there?
I get there Monday, or no, I fly out Monday. I get there Tuesday.
All right. So you're not going to have a whole lot of time there prior to the fight. When you first heard this name, obviously undefeated fighter, a young fighter, a lot of hype behind him. What were your initial thoughts?
Well, I asked for him actually, so a lot of guys were booked up. Obviously, they Fabian Edwards fought. We fight Aaron Jeffrey, and looking at the rest of the division, obviously Austin's my teammate, and there was two guys that are overseas because I know that they're having a lot of their cards overseas in Europe. So I was trying to look at guys overseas, and I was asking about Mike Shipman. He had a fight in Paris coming up, so I asked about Khalid Murtazaev and Norbert. So they ended up giving me Norbert.
So you like this matchup for yourself. Obviously, well-rounded fighter, much like yourself. You feel stylistically this is a good matchup for you.
Yeah, he's good, man. So when I fight, I don't want a can. I don't want somebody that's going to be a pushover. I want somebody that's going to push me, and I think he has the ability to do that. But I also do think that I've grown in several areas, and I think my last outing wasn't a good showing of how good of a fighter I am. And I had an off night, and I'm ready to go back in there and put on a better performance and get past that.
You mentioned that, so I do want to address it. Let's just dive right in and talk about the fight with Aaron Jeffrey. That was in August of 2023, so it's been quite a while since we've seen you compete. What made it an off night? Is there something that you can point towards?
I'm not in the business of making excuses, man. I just, end of the day, it wasn't my best night. He was a better man that night, and I could probably give you a bunch of reasons as to why I thought that ended up like that, but I'm not going to.
Mm-hmm. I know when we initially talked prior to that fight, your opinion changed as the fight got closer. You said, after watching some tape, this guy is, very good fighter. I mean, we've seen that he's ranked very highly in Bellator right now. Is there anything there that surprised you in the fight, though? Did he do anything that maybe you didn't anticipate?
He stayed in my face the entire time. You know what I mean? I hit him with some big shots. I had him backing up at first, beginning of the round, and he just got. I think I let him get comfortable, and he just kept his high guard and kept walking forward. He has a big head. He's able to eat a lot of shots. He has a good chin on him. He's pretty durable, and he has good cardio. So I think he used that to his advantage to, take away a lot of my strengths. Obviously I was a lot more athletic than him. I was quicker. I think I was a lot stronger. I wasn't even using a lot of my strength. I was trying to conserve energy in the clinch, but didn't go in my favor anyways. But yeah, I think I had a lot of advantages and intangibles that he didn't have, but he also had the durability and the cardio on his side. And, part of this game is conditioning and cardio. It's a big part of it. You could be the best fighter in the world, but if it doesn't last longer than a round, you're not worth a damn in the second, third, fourth, and fifth if it's a title fight. And ultimately, that's what happened. So I got to fix those holes, and and I think I did. And going forward, it shouldn't be a problem.
What have you been doing to kind of improve your cardio here?
So honestly, I don't think my cardio was a problem. I was in good shape for the fight, and towards the end of camp, I had to adjust some things for specific reasons that I don't want to disclose. And I think the way I went in there and fought and got away from the game plan kind of caused me to get tired. And I don't want to take anything away from him either. He did a good job of employing his own game plan and wearing me out, getting me tired. But I think I kind of helped him do that.
That was your first loss in your entire career, pro or amateur. How difficult was that to process? Because this is not something that you're used to.
Sucks, man. It really does. I think about it all the time. I'm sitting there thinking about things I could have did differently in the fight, things I could have did differently leading up to the fight. And I'm not going to sit here and lie and say that I don't think about it all the time, because I do. I still haven't really gotten over it. Probably never will. And at the end of the day, I feel like if you're a true competitor and you're in this to be the best, that's just how it is. And, I move forward with my training. I move forward. I have a new opponent in front of me. I have a new name, but eventually down the road, I want to get that fight back.
Yeah, I have to imagine that was going to be a question I was going to ask, but obvious answer. You just answered it. What did you think of his performance against Fabian in March?
Man, I was kind of surprised about that, because if Fabian watched my fight and Aaron Jeffrey's fight, I feel like he could have learned a lot from it. In the first round, after all the clinching and everything, it looked like it took a toll on Fabian's cardio as well. But they fought the whole entire fight against the cage, essentially, and there really wasn't much striking in the open. And when there was, Fabian was landing, but he wasn't landing in high volume, but he was landing like good shots, so it looked good in the judge's eyes, in my opinion. So there might have been like one or two shots in the second and third round that gave Fabian those rounds that won him the fight. I mean, had he not landed those, probably would have gave it to Aaron Jeffrey, because he's holding him against a fence, hitting him with little pitter-pat punches, but they add up. He's controlling the fight. He's dictating where the fight's at. And like I said, I feel like those few shots that Fabian did land in the open, tipped the scales in his favor in the judge's eyes. But I was expecting a completely different fight than that. I figured if Aaron Jeffrey did try to clinch with him like that, Fabian was probably going to land some elbows and stuff on the inside. He's pretty good in the clinch, pretty good with those elbows. And surely enough, he didn't. And ended up being a lot closer fight than I thought. But looking back on it and just comparing it to my fight, I think, I was a lot more explosive in my striking, and I put together combinations a lot better than Fabian was able to. I think, obviously looking back on the fight, I won the first round against Aaron Jeffrey. It was opposite with Aaron Jeffrey and Fabian Edwards in his fight. I thought Fabian Edwards was going to come out and win the first round, but Aaron Jeffrey actually won the first round and lost second and third. And like I said, I think it's because the shots that Fabian was able to land in the open that knocked Aaron Jeffrey's head back, and it looked good in the judge's eyes for Fabian Edwards. But completely different fight than I was expecting and anticipating. And Aaron Jeffrey kind of did what he always does, holds the guy against the cage, dirty box, but it didn't lean in his favor this time.
And with you guys both being at the top of the division, I mean, obviously right now you're totally focused on Norbert here in June, but I mean, you guys might only be a fight or two away from getting that rematch, right? Does that make sense? Do you feel like maybe by the end of 2024, you might be rematching Aaron?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's possible I win this fight. And I mean, you look at the rest of the division, they're already talking about Costello Vancinas and Gregory Babine, or how do you pronounce his last name? I'm not sure.
I think you said it right. I'm not sure.
Yeah. They're talking about that being a number one contender fight. And it's like, some of this shit, that's why the ranking systems I felt like were great, because this shit doesn't make sense now. Costello Vancinas lost his last fight against Douglas Lima, and he hadn't fought for like 2 years before that. Besides, he had a tune-up fight and then fought Douglas Lima, lost. But besides those, he hadn't fought in like 2 years. And now he's the number one contender? Makes no sense. I strung together 8 wins in a row in 5 years, was active, fought every single year, lost one fight. And then they were talking about the person that beat me getting the next title shot, but then he took a fight while he was waiting for the title shot. He was the number one contender. And all of a sudden now Costello, coming off a loss, is number one contender fight. It makes no sense to me. But at the end of the day, that's not my job to do. But we'll see. I feel like with the position that the company's in, the promotion, I win one fight, it could get the rematch with Aaron Jeffrey. I win one fight, maybe they'll be offering me a title shot. Who knows? I really don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So At the end of the day, I'm just going to fight whoever they put in front of me, but I hope it's Aaron Jeffrey or I hope it's for a title. Nothing else really interests me right now.
What do you think they could do to fix the rankings and make the matchmaking make a little more sense?
So if you look at it, Johnny already beat Anatoly Tokov, and Tokov was ranked like third. John Salter retired. I was fourth. Aaron Jeffrey beat me. He was fifth, so he got bumped up to fourth. And then, like I said, Johnny already beat Fabian, and then he beat Musasi too. So next person that should have got the shot was the winner of me and Aaron Jeffrey. And I'm pretty sure, from my understanding, they were going to give it to Aaron Jeffrey, but Aaron Jeffrey wanted to fight again. He didn't want to wait around until September after this, the PFL versus Bellator Champions. So he took another fight, took a risk, ended up losing. Now he's not getting the next title shot. So it should have been one of us two, and now it's not. And Fabian Edwards is getting the rematch, even though he just lost. And then now they're talking about, like I said, with Costello Vanstinas, who I don't even think he was in the top 10 with the Bellator rankings, and he's the number one contender fight. Neither was Gregory. Like I said, it doesn't make sense to me. It should have been Aaron Jeffrey next, and then I rematch with Aaron Jeffrey. I win. I get the next title shot, or I beat the guy that's ranked right below me, and I get the next title shot, or I fight Tokov or Fabian or somebody like that, and I get the next title shot. That's how it should have been. Mm-hmm. But that's not how it worked out. So, like I said, it's not my job, but that's how I would have done it.
What did you think of Johnny's fight with Impa? A lot of people were surprised as to how that actually played out. I mean, he said it was an off night. Is that what it was? Like, just from your eyes watching it? Like, what was your takeaway?
Yeah, before anything went in Impa's favor and started going wrong for Johnny, I was watching it with my friends, Sabah and Christian at Sabah's house. And Sabah Hamasi fought for Bellator as well.
Yeah, he's a dog.
Yes, for sure. And we were watching the fight, and I just, like I even said, I was like, he was winning the fight, but I was like, he just seemed off. Like, I feel like he should be doing a lot better than this. Like, he's usually a lot better. So he seemed off already before he went out and said that. And of course, he gets on the mic and he says that, and then people are like, oh, yeah, he's making excuses. You know how MMA fans are. You can't critique your performance at all if you lose. If you do, it's making an excuse. And sometimes you have an off night. In the NFL, we both love football. Teams have an off night, whether it's the quarterback, the running back, a combined effort of an off night. Teams have an off night, and you see teams lose to teams they have no business losing to. You'll see the number one team in the NFL play the number 32 team in the NFL, and sometimes the fucking last place team wins. And it's like, how'd that happen? Sometimes teams have off nights. Sometimes styles make matchups, stylistically there could have been something more favorable for the lesser person. So I think that's all it was. And when I got on the mic after on Twitter or whatever he did after, people were saying he was making excuses. That's how it goes at the end of the day. But I think it was just an off night. I think if they fight again, probably he's not going to be that close.
Yeah, and as time passes too, Dalton, the thought of you fighting your teammate and friend Johnny Eblen for the title, it's becoming more and more real, right? Like, what are those discussions like in the gym? Has it changed at all now that it's kind of seeming like it eventually may happen?
I mean, we really haven't even talked about it. We talked about it before I fought Aaron Jeffrey, and he was talking about moving up to 205 and just vacating the belt and let me take the belt in a vacant title fight. But now that I lost to Aaron Jeffrey, and I'm kind of like out of the title picture, we haven't really talked about it at all. I don't know if that's still on the table or what, but I mean, at the end of the day, if they offer me for the next title shot, I can't see Johnny turning it down. And I mean, they're going to pay me $500,000 to fight Johnny for the belt. I'm not going to turn it down either. You know what I mean? We beat the shit out of each other for free in the gym. So, if they're going to give me $500,000 for it and a belt, I'll do it.
Yeah, no, for sure. That makes all the sense in the world. Do you think, like, have you seen it before, like in the gym where, yeah, you guys are training, maybe not just you and Johnny specifically, but just other guys where it's one thing when you're sparring and you're training to get ready for a fight, but if, you actually fight a teammate, on national television in front of the whole world, Does it muddy a relationship? Can it, if depending on like what happens? Because that's, you guys have such a big gym with so many unbelievable fighters that, I mean, ultimately you're going to see that more and more.
Yeah, I think it could. It just depends on the people, and it depends on the fighters, the two people involved. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. You really don't know until you're in that situation. And like I said, he was saying that like he might move to 205, take the 205-pound belt, vacate the 185. I don't know if that's still on the table. Like I said, who knows? I'm not here to predict the future. I'm not here to match make. I'm not here to speculate on that stuff. I'm just here to fight. I want to be the best in the world. I want to be world champion at the end of the day, and I want to make a lot of money. So those are my goals. And if, at the end of the day, if I have to fight a teammate, even somebody that I train with a lot, somebody that's a friend, somebody like Johnny, to achieve my goal, I'll do it. It's not preferable, but you got to do what you got to do.
How's your health? Obviously, you have a fighter on the corner, so you must be feeling good. But what was that road to recovery like to get you back to 100%?
I'm feeling good. I'm not really dealing with any major issues right now. Just like bumps and bruises, like any fighter in camp. Whenever you're training three times a day, and you're getting a lot of live rounds in. So besides that, I'm healthy. You know what I mean?
Well, excited to see you back in there, man. As I said, far too long before you're back in action again. Your last fight was in August, so that's quite some time. Again, Bellator Champions Series Dublin, June the 22nd. The main event is going to be for the welterweight title. Jason Jackson against Ramazan. This guy's undefeated. He's 12-0, so an interesting test for Jason Jackson. But this guy's an absolute stud, no matter where the fight goes. Do you see Jason obviously getting his hand raised? Like, what's your analysis of this fight?
I don't know. I've trained with Ramzan. He trains at ATT too. He's not here right now because the fight's overseas. So he's training back in Russia or Dagestan, wherever he's at. He's a good fighter. He has good striking, good wrestling. He's pretty well rounded. And I think Jason Jackson is as well. So, I mean, we'll just see who's better overall everywhere. I think the best fighters in this sport are the ones that are well rounded. I don't think specialists. I think specialists are kind of like fading out. You got outliers. You have people like Alex Pajeda, who is just a super dominant kickboxer, has a lot of power. It's an equalizer. You know what I mean? But besides that, people that are prevailing in this sport and becoming champions and that are the best, they're well-rounded. And at the end of the day, I think that's what you got to be.
It's going to be an awesome title fight. Paul Hughes is the co-main event. This is another prospect with a lot of hype behind him. What are your thoughts on him as a fighter?
Of Paul Hughes.
Yeah.
And that's the co-main event?
Co-main event. He's fighting Bobby King.
So I don't really know too much about him, to be honest with you. I wish I had some more information to give you, but I'm kind of like taking these fights in as they go. They haven't really been doing the best job at promoting fights, so they haven't been posting about them much, and I'm still finding out about stuff as it goes along. And I remember seeing that fight on there, but I don't know much about either of those fighters.
Okay, fair enough. Well, I think a lot of people, have your fight with Norbert circled. Again, 7-0. You guys have very, very similar records. He's got 4 submission victories. Is there a certain area where you feel like you got to be the most careful of his game?
He has power in his right hand. I mean, he's proved that he's knocked several people down in his fights. He hasn't put anybody out cold, but actually his last opponent, I think he did, but he followed it up with ground and pound. But everything else has been like a TKO, or the ref stopped it after, a knockdown. He got a lot of knockdowns. He has power in his right hand. But he seems a little bit on the slower side. But I know with that style, I'm not stupid. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, he has his hands at his side. It's going to be easy to hit him because, you get a lot of boxing coaches on social media, and everybody thinks they're a fighter on social media trying to pick that apart. Like, oh, this guy has his hands down. It's an easy knockout. Their style, that point fighting, taekwondo, karate stuff, a lot of it's timing, in and out. It's hard to track them down sometimes. And they have a longer range for their strikes because they're diving in, diving out, lunged in, lunging out, whatever you want to call it. And I've done a little bit of that training, and I actually fought a guy as an amateur that had the same exact style. But believe it or not, I think the guy I fought as an amateur that was better at this style than he is. So I've seen this before. I've actually trained it myself. After I fought the guy, I decided do a little bit of myself to gain more of an understanding, maybe add a little bit of it to my game. And so that's the biggest thing. It's going to be catching his timing. And once you catch his timing, I think I have him beat everywhere. You know, like I said, it's going to be mostly timing. And I have power too, so he has to watch out for that. I think he's been shown that he can be hurt in fights. He got hurt by a blown up welterweight. So I think if I touch him, he's going to go out. No, it's just about touching him. So I know he's in and out a lot. Got to be patient, you know, put pressure on him, be in his face, and use my boxing. I have much better boxing on my. I'm better technically than he is, but like I said, I know those guys have good range. They have good timing, and I'm doing the proper things to get ready for it. I'm actually going to go and spar with the guy that I fought as an amateur. Supposed to get some work in with Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Been working with some guys in my gym that have been doing a good job at mimicking it as well. So I'm liking this fight a lot, and I can't wait for it to come. And I think, like I said, I beat him everywhere. I think if we stay striking, I win the striking. I think if he tries to wrestle with me, I win the wrestling exchanges. I think if we try to grapple, I win the grappling exchange. So we don't know what he's going to do. We think we've seen him fight, and we've seen whenever he gets hit and hurt, which he has in 2 of his fights, he starts to wrestle. So we're anticipating that as well. But we don't know if he's going to strike or wrestle. So we're just getting ready for it all.
You mentioned training with Wonder Boy. How is that going to happen? Are you going to go to him, or is he coming to you?
So I was going to go to him like last week, I believe, but plans changed a little bit. So I might be trying to go back there towards the end of camp. That's why I'm going back to Pittsburgh to train with the guy that I fought as an amateur. Like I said, there's been guys I've been training with at the gym pretty good at it as well, but I want to get different looks just to make sure I'm like covering everything. And that's why I reached out to Wonder Boy, and hopefully we can make that happen at the end of May. But for now, I'm going to go back to Pittsburgh for a week and a half, get some sparring in with the person I fought as an amateur and some other guys up there. And then hopefully, like I said, get in with Wonder Boy at the end of this month, early next month.
Very cool. Your dog is absolutely adorable, by the way. What is his or her name?
This is Athena. Pegasus, come here. I got Pegasus too. Pegasus, come here. Come here, buddy. This is my boy.
Geez. Athena and Pegasus.
Yeah, I named him Pegasus because my nickname's Hercules. And if you're in the Greek mythology or you watch the Hercules movie, like Hercules' horse was named Pegasus, flying horse. So that's why I named him Pegasus. We had her first though. I just like it, man. You know.
Dogs are the absolute best. The breed, what is that, a French bulldog?
Yes, they're both French bulldogs. They're small though. So Frenchies are usually like 28 to 30 pounds. They're both 14 and a half pounds.
Okay.
So both of them combined are the exact size of a regular size Frenchie.
What are their life expectancy?
10 to 12 years, I believe.
10 to 12. Okay. See, we've always had golden retrievers growing up. And my wife's dog, well, now it's my dog, but you know, when I first met my now wife, it was a package deal. She has a Shorkie. It looks like a little Chewbacca, little 10-pound fur ball. And I've fallen right in love with her. Their life expectancy is, if they're lucky, maybe 15, 16, and she's 12 now. And the thought of not having her around literally makes me sick to my stomach. That's the thing about dogs, man. I just wish they could live forever.
Yeah, you get super attached. And I feel like I'm the same way. Like their life's not long enough. I don't know what the life expectancy. Let me look it up. Hey Siri, what's the life expectancy of a French bulldog? 11 years is the average. So 10 to 12. I was right on that. I was just taking a guess. But yeah, I'm the same way, man. You get super attached to dogs and can't imagine life without them. There's a lot of people out there like, oh, I can't believe you care for a dog like that. I see people on Twitter all the time. They're like, I can't. People that choose or value a dog's life over a human's life are weird to me, or like there's something wrong with you if you value a dog's life over a human's life. And I'm just like, I don't know you.
Yeah.
I like, chances are, if I met you in person, especially because what you're saying in tweet right now, I probably won't like you.
Exactly.
So it's like, I love my dogs. Yeah. So it's like, at the end of the day, of course, I'm gonna value my dog over you. I don't even like you. You know what
100%.
I mean? I don't know you nothing. So.
Yeah. Totally agree. Dogs are unconditional love. That's all they do is give unconditional love. You can't say that
That,
about human beings. There's a lot of dirtbags out there. I want to ask you real quick before we transition back. I want to get a prediction from you here for this fight. I want to talk a little bit about NBA, NFL. Obviously, we both love both of those sports. The NBA is in the swing of things right now for the playoffs. What is your finals prediction? What do you think we're going to see here come the end of June?
man, I don't know. I think what's the Nuggets series at right now? 3-2.
3-2. Denver just took the lead.
Yeah, I think probably Denver's probably going to win it all again. I think they're going to be back to back.
So you think that they're going to beat the Celtics in the finals? I would imagine.
I do. I do. I wanted to see LeBron get another one, but man, and they play every single game was so close with them. The buzzer beater at the end of what was that, game 2? And I remember watching that, and like I was on the edge of my seat. They were up by 20 at half. I was like, "Oh, Lakers got this in the bag." And I'm watching it, and they're just chipping away. Then Denver goes on like a 9-0 run, and I'm like, "Man, I can't watch this anymore." I watched it the whole way through, but I was like, I had a bad feeling. I was like, I knew the Lakers were going to lose. And yeah, I want to see LeBron get another one, but I think with how the Nuggets beat them, especially because the Lakers were actually playing well the entire game, and Denver was still able to get past them, I think Denver's just probably going to take it all again.
Denver scares me. Diehard Celtics fan, I'm from New England, so Boston sports all the way for me. But Denver does scare me. Jokic is an absolute freak. What
So
do
good.
you? Oh, so good. What do you see from LeBron in the future? What do you think we're going to see before he retires?
Part of me thinks that Cleveland's going to draft Bronny, and he's going to go back to Cleveland.
I could see that.
That's what I think, And Cleveland did pretty well this year. I mean, you add LeBron to that team, it's another NBA Finals team, in my opinion.
They'd be right there. I mean, they're literally a piece away, and they didn't even have Jarrett Allen, their big man here in this series with Boston. So he would have made a difference because he's great on the boards. He's a good defender. He can score too. So yeah, they're not whole as a team.
Yeah.
NFL season right around the corner. The full schedule releases tonight. Your Steelers, quite the off season. 2 quarterbacks, Justin Fields, Russell Wilson. What are your thoughts for this upcoming season for your Steelers?
I love it, man. I was so glad we got rid of Kenny Pickett. I was sad to see Mason Rudolph go. I think he should have got another chance. I would be completely fine with them bringing him back in and bringing somebody in to back him up or just compete for the job. But I wanted to see him get a chance just because he's been there since he was drafted. And he's the reason we made the playoffs last year. He was sitting on the bench for 3 years. For 3 years straight, came off the bench with 10 days, 7 days, whatever it was, worth of team one snaps at practice and put on the best performance any quarterback has since Ben Roethlisberger. In that offense, too. Our offense was lacking a lot of key parts. And he's not a mobile quarterback either. He looked like a statue in the pocket, yet he was still making throws. He was confident in there. He was stepping up. He was still throwing when he was about to get hit. That's what we needed. And he looked like Big Ben. He reminded me of Big Ben. Obviously not as good, but he reminded me a lot of Big Ben. And I was sad to see him go, but I knew we were going to get rid of Kenny. I knew it. Knew we were going to get rid of Kenny. I'd never liked that draft pick from the start. I was calling it. He wasn't very good. And I was texting with my friends back and forth, and I was like, I think we're going to get Justin Fields. And then we signed Russell Wilson. They're like, we're definitely not getting Justin Fields. I'm like, bro, we only have 1 quarterback on the roster now. It's Russell Wilson. I'm like, we always go into camp with 4. Camp in August or July with 4. I was like, so for sure, we're trading for another quarterback, and then we're probably going to draft him. But we ended up signing one in the free agency. But I was like, we've never carried less than 3 on our roster, and we never entered camp with less than 4. So I was like, we're going to get Justin Fields. They were calling me crazy. They were like, oh, you're not allowed to talk football anymore. We're not going to get Justin Fields. Next thing you know, we got Justin Fields. So I let them get the end of it.
So they're going to start the season with Russell as QB1. How long will it take before Russell loses that job to Justin Fields?
I don't know. So this is my thing. I like Justin Fields. He's young. I think he has a lot more potential than Russell Wilson. But Russell Wilson's good, and I think a lot of people were sleeping on him and like giving him too much shit. Last season, he was 26 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Inside the 25-yard line, he was 20 touchdowns, 1 turnover inside the 20-yard line. So, and where we struggled to score the most was in the red zone. So I feel like we added a few missing pieces on our offensive line in the draft, which we needed bad. We got rid of Deontay Johnson, but he dropped more balls than he caught anyways. You know, he was kind of a liability. And then we picked up Roman Wilson, which ran a 4.3, great route running, good separation. I think he had the most separation on routes in the entire NCAA last year. I like him a lot, you know. I think he's going to be better than Deontay Johnson. It's his rookie year, obviously, so we'll see how that goes. But I think if we could pick up a corner or a free safety, you know, and trade for one, free agency still, because we still got, 2 months until camp. I think we're going to do great. I think we'll probably. I've never said this ever, even when we won the Super Bowls. But I think we're going to make it to the Super Bowl this year.
Whoa. Okay.
I think so, man. Like Russell Wilson had 26 touchdowns and 8 interceptions with the Denver Broncos. The Denver Broncos stunk last year. And I've seen plenty of Kenny Pickett. And I'm not even going to call them Pittsburgh fans because I know they're Kenny Pickett fans because they're talking about like, because people will say on Twitter, are we going to make, or on X, are we going to make the playoffs here? Still going to make the playoffs. And then there's people commenting, no, not with this quarterback room, talking about Justin Fields and Russell Wilson. I'm like, it's a huge upgrade, both of them from Kenny Pickett. Yeah. Look what everybody's talking shit on Justin Fields. His numbers in the past 3 seasons are comparable to Lamar Jackson. They're comparable to Lamar Jackson. I think he has, like 6 more turnovers total than Lamar Jackson, but the rest of the numbers are comparable with like 2% less completion percentage. And he was on the Bears.
Yeah.
The worst team one of the worst teams in the league. Bottom 3 team, So imagine him on the Steelers last year. If Kenny Pickett was able to make the playoffs with the Steelers team last year, imagine Justin Fields on the team. Now imagine Russell Wilson, who still passed 26 touchdowns, 8 interceptions with the Denver Broncos on the Steelers. We had a much better team. We were missing one piece last season. We were missing a few pieces, but one vital piece, and that was the quarterback. You put either of those quarterbacks that everybody's talking shit on the Steelers team last year, we might make it to the fucking conference championship. It was like that bad.
I think you need to start a Pittsburgh Steelers podcast. And I think, with how much football, how much you love the Steelers, that could take off,
I think so. It just takes a lot of time,
Yeah.
With right now, I just want to focus on fighting. I don't really do anything outside of fighting right now. Whenever I'm like in between practices during camp, I usually just chill at home, take a nap, or like play the video game, just so I'm not like using any energy because I want to focus all my time on training in the fight. You know what I mean? I watch film on my opponent and then I train. Watch film on my opponent, then I train, and that's it. But if time frees up a little bit more and I have the correct resources and the right material, it might be in my future.
I wanted to ask you this too. I'm sure that you watched the Tom Brady roast on Netflix. If you haven't, you got to watch it. If you could roast anyone at American Top Team, who would it be and why?
It would have to be one of my close friends because I know the most about him. So it'd probably have to be Christian Turner or Sabah Hamasi. Probably one of those two. Sabah would be an easier target because everybody knows him. Everybody likes picking with him. But probably Sabah. But so I haven't watched the whole thing. So I got to the Nikki Glaser part. And she just ended. She ended it with like, one thing's true. If you tell Tom Brady he can't do something, he will not only prove you wrong, but he will do it the best it's ever been done. So I'm going to end on this. Tom Brady, you cannot make me come to that. I was like, no fucking way.
Yeah.
She said that.
Yeah, no, it was so good, man. I was dying the whole time, especially as a ridiculous Patriots fan. That was such a memorable thing that like I'll never forget watching it for the first time because it's brought back so many memories and it was hysterical. I honestly am just surprised that like so many Aaron Hernandez jokes. That was something that I didn't see coming.
With who's the guy Kevin Hart handed it off to? What was his name?
Yeah, I can see his face. I can't, but it wasn't just him.
The guy that was doing all the but he was doing most of them.
There was a lot.
He did a couple too, but he did a lot of them.
Yeah. Wait till you watch the rest. You got to finish it, man. It's fantastic. Let's circle back. I just want to finish with a prediction here for Norbert Novenyi Jr. Again, you're taking on him at June the 22nd, Bellator Champions Series Dublin. What is your prediction for this big fight, Dalton? How are you going to get your hand raised? How do you get this win?
Everybody keeps telling me, bro, this fight could be 30 seconds or 3 rounds. It all depends on me. But I think either way it goes, I win. So I'm leaning towards a knockout.
Do you think it happens early?
I think it happens in the first round.
All right. Wouldn't surprise me in the least, man. I know you got some pent up aggression to get that loss back to Aaron Jeffrey and get back in the win column, which is something that you're used to. As always, man, I really appreciate your time. Always one of my favorites to interview. Again, June 22nd, Bellator Champions Series Dublin. Dalton Rosta meets Norbert Novenyi Jr. Before we do sign off, bud, I want to give you the floor. Anyone you want to thank, anything you want to plug, the floor is yours.
Follow me on Instagram at Dalton Rosta. And I want to thank you for having me on the podcast all the time, man. I appreciate the love. I appreciate you giving me a platform, talk about my fights, and you actually know your shit. You're a good interviewer. There's a lot of guys that ask me for my time, and then I get on the podcast, and I feel like it's a waste of time sometimes. So I appreciate you. I appreciate you being good at your job, and I appreciate you always having me on.